Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to this next video where we're going to be talking about finding products for your store. All right, and this is actually a fairly detailed process, all right, that I want to take step by step. In all reality, I plan to deliver more content here than most of these expensive courses out there than you've seen. And I'm going to break it up into pieces in order to do that. So this first piece is going to really just be research, all right? We've already talked about niche and product research in an earlier video. However, I talked more generals at that point in time. And now I want to show you how I would actually go about from scratch, starting brand new, looking into the products and niches that I would put into my new store, all right? First thing I want to mention before even going any further is just the mindset you need to have going into this. All right, we talked about this already a little bit in some of the earlier videos, but I really want to hit the point home again because I think a lot of people miss this, and it's the cause of a lot of people not reaching the success that they would like to reach when it comes to e-commerce. All right, the 80-20 rule applies. And if you've never heard of the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle, it basically states that 20% of your efforts are going to result in 80% of your profits, all right? And 80% of your profits are going to, or 80% of your efforts are going to just, the opposite, result in 20% of your profits. So what we want to be doing in this is focusing on the 20%. All right, that's the important part. You've probably heard people talk about the 80-20 principle before, but the important takeaway from that is that we want to adopt a mentality of focusing on the 20%, not the 80%. All right, I have a business model in which I move quickly, all right? And what we're doing here, remember, the whole goal of the beginning and what I'm trying to do in this group and trying to help people achieve is really that first six-figure business, all right? Where you're able to generate $100,000 in sales and get to the point where you now have some freedom and some breathing room. You've mastered some of the basics and even some of the advanced level stuff that is going to make you a formidable entrepreneur moving into whatever you decide your next venture is going to be. All right, e-commerce is a huge landscape of many, many, many opportunities across multiple different niches and business types. All right, what I'm doing here with the general store idea is helping you get a store built that is going to allow you to get to that first level, all right, and have that success. By then you'll know what it's like to do product research and to add products and to build a store and to build a team and to handle customer service and to run Facebook ads and targeting and interest and custom audiences and advanced ads and scaling, all right? That is the skill set that is going to make you successful in almost anything that you decide to do next, all right? So in order to get to that point, I think the general store is the best route to go. And in order to run a general store successfully, you want to adopt that 80-20 mindset where we're focusing on the 20% that's going to make us all the money and not the 80% that's probably going to result in nothing, all right? A lot of people miss this. They get upset because they've tried 5 products and none of them have sold yet. So you got to consider this concept here. Say you test 100 products. All right, it's a big number, I know, but let's just say theoretically you test 100 products and we're going by the 80-20 principle. That means that 20 of those 100 products would result in your amount of sales. So say, just again, in theory here, I'm not putting anything in concrete, but say you test 100 products and it takes testing 100 products to get to $100,000 in sales. That would mean that 20 of those products are responsible for the bulk of that $100,000 in sales, all right? Now consider this. What if the first 75 products you test fail? All right. You have to adopt the mentality of moving through things quickly. Most of the people that you see complaining and doing poorly in e-commerce, it's because they're getting attached to their own ideas. They find something that they think is a super cool idea, and then they blow $300 trying to make an idea work. That's not what you want to do. You want to let the market speak. You just want to move through ideas with a certain budget and a certain testing ground with enough with enough, you know, data at each point from the Facebook ads, which we're going to talk about. If you know nothing about Facebook ads, don't worry, you will. But just know that Facebook ads gives you the data, all right? People look at spending money on Facebook as a loss if they don't make any sales back. It's not a loss. It's an investment that gives you the data you need to refine your efforts for the next time. All right, the best example I can think of, which most of us are probably familiar with, is Thomas Edison and the invention of the incandescent light bulb. As we all, well, maybe not all, look him up if you don't know, but as the story goes, he tried 1,000 times, or somewhere around there, 1,000 times to make the it might have even been 10,000 to make the incandescent light bulb. Either way, 1,000 is a huge number. Imagine trying something 990 times and failing and still moving with enthusiasm to the next one, right? Not many people, I would say less than probably 0.5% of people that have ever walked the face of the earth would have the fortitude to keep going even after 200 failures or 300 failures or 400 failures in the same thing. And of course, those are the people that become successful, and we inherently know that, but I really need to drive that point home because that is what e-commerce is all about. All right, when you're running this general store type of idea, it's all about moving forward with enthusiasm, having a set budget you're willing to test products and ideas with, a set system, which I'm going to show you, and continually moving forward to test new ideas. All right, and what Thomas Edison said about that, the quote is really the best part. He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times trying to make this light bulb. I learned 1,000 ways not to make the light bulb. And of course, he went on and eventually found the right formula for the incandescent light bulb and changed the world and history forever. So I think that's a really powerful example to remember and get into the mindset of what this is going to be. Now, that doesn't mean that there are not guidelines and rules and principles for finding good products and making sure we're taking the most calculated risks in what we're testing, because that's what I'm going to show you here. But in all reality, it's very subjective. All right, you're going to hear gurus out there say that they have the exact system to finding winning products, and the reality is that there are systems that work. Okay, but it's always going to come down to what the market says. There's no 100% guaranteed method to find a winning product every time on your first try. All right, and a lot of you are going to test products that are going to fail off of the bat. And you're going to have to realize that that's just the name of this game. You'll get better as you go. Of course, I'm not saying you won't get better. You'll get more intuitive. You'll get better at doing your research and finding ideas. But when you start, it's going to feel a little bit weird because you're probably not going to know, and you're going to be wondering. Everybody gets into this, and I did myself in the beginning. So that's why I'm telling you to trust me as experienced in this now, that people want to start out in this and say, well, what's the niche? What's the golden niche? Can you just tell me the niche that I need to be in to make a lot of money, and then I'll go find the products myself? But it really doesn't work like that, all right? Any niche can be profitable. Let me repeat that and make sure that everybody understands that. Any niche can be profitable. All right. It's about the way that you present it, the products that you find, and the targeting that you do. All right. So when you're looking at niches, and these gurus are out there selling systems, in all reality, it's not necessary. Any niche can be profitable. You just need to decide the niches that you want to test. All right. And you can go about that in a lot of different ways. You can look through here, like we talked about in the beginning, and go through and come up with some ideas of things that you think you would be interested in testing. Or you can do what I'm going to do and just go in the Aliexpress collections or the featured brands or the trending styles, best selling, and start kind of mind mapping some ideas out. All right. Before going into that, one more thing that I want to talk about in just, the nature of what I'm doing is very different, all right? Building a store in front of people, and I'm actually going to take all the way through and launch products and run ads and make sales. And hopefully my intention is to build to a successful store. But of course, the nature of that being that I'm showing people is that it's open for just being directly copied by everybody who watches this video. Now, I know many of you will not do that, and some of you probably will, regardless of what I say, but it benefits you the most to look at this and take the processes and take the ideas and take the systems that I use and learn how to apply them yourself. All right. Copying me is not really going to do you any good because we're just going to be in competition with each other trying to sell the same thing. All right. And eventually, if too much of that happens, then I'm just going to shut everything down anyway and just go back to doing my own stores. All right. So what I'm trying to do here is for the benefit of the community and for the benefit of everybody, and that you will learn from what we're doing. All right. And this is an ambitious task, I understand, because I'm putting it all out there and I don't know how people are going to react, but it is my hope and wish that you will take this at a practical and concept level and put it all together in a way that you understand how to research and find products for your store and get them started. Okay. I accidentally clicked on something there. All right, now again, as I said, I'm really just going to start with this, and I'm going to go through and just show you some ideas of where I would start with a store. All right, now I like to use intuition. All right, there's going to be some people out there you'll see that should say you should check everything through watch count, and you should look at the numbers. And that's a good advice because numbers generally don't lie. But Watch Count is a website that tells you what's most popular on eBay. And eBay is a search site like Amazon. So yes, it shows you items that are popular, but you have to watch because they're items that are being specifically searched as opposed to what we're going to be doing where we find items and then match it up with an audience and the intention being that we want to have those impulse buys for people out there, right? So, moving along, I'm going to show you all of it, all right? Going into Aliexpress collections. Now, I already went through here a little bit earlier, I actually did a video. I did a video earlier where I was going through and doing this, and then I realized it was way too long. So I'm kind of taking what I went through in that video and condensing it into this video because I don't want to make a 2-hour video that is just me scrolling through different collections, all right? So when you look at things, though, you can come into this any way you want to. I like to just look at collections and get ideas because I'm going to be testing different things and then I'm going to be finding collections that seem to work well and then moving with them. All right. And I already have some experience in knowing what audiences are out there and the stuff that can be popular, but really it doesn't take a genius to figure out what things are popular. And I'm going to show you right now ways that you can do that. Give me a second to open up some web pages. All right, so the tools that I opened up here is one, Google Trends, which I don't use often, but it's a way that if you want to explore ideas ahead of time, or if you want to check keywords to see how they're trending in Google, then you can do that, okay? And then another one is Audience Insights. This is part of your business manager when you come into your business account on Facebook, which is something I talked about setting up in an earlier video, so you should already have that done. If not, you go to this web address here and you get it set up. And it's how you are able to run a business ads manager account through Facebook. All right, and you'll see the Audience Insights is one of the tools that you get. So everyone on Facebook, and then this is something I'm going to talk about in more detail later, but for now, what's important to know is you can put in major interests here and see the active audience size on Facebook. And then there's all kinds of stuff that it will show you. It'll break it down for you, and I'll talk about this more later, but this is really a separate video which will come next when we get into targeting and such. And you can target different countries of the world, different ages and genders, and all kinds of advanced targeting down here, which is really cool. Lots of stuff, but again, not for this video. Right now, I just want to show that you can see a potential audience size on Facebook. Not necessarily meaning that audience is going to buy, But again, generally any niche will be profitable, all right? Any niche out there that you can think of, people are probably buying products in that niche. So it's really up to you to find the right products for that audience that are unique if you want to sell to that niche. So for example, if you want to sell to the dogs niche, you could come in here. Now, say you knew nothing about dogs, right? And you just had this idea, I would like to sell to dogs. All right, well, you can type in some of these interests here, whatever these are, and start to see that your audience quickly builds up. Now, obviously, dogs is a big one. I think we all know that. I don't know what these pages are, but you can even type in dogs and just see that, this is a really big niche, all right? That is the broadest level of the niche, but we could break this down and that there's enough people in here, okay? As opposed to, and you can do that with anything. Like in a previous video, I talked about selling an EDM shirt. So if I wanted to come in here and make sure EDM is a viable thing, I could start adding things like EDM.com and seeing what type of interest level there is out there, right? And just added up all these interests to get an overall view of what type of audience size. And you can see that I can add it up. Again, this is like the broadest level, and I'm going to talk about the difference between broad and precise targeting when we get to that. But for now, if you are brand new to Audience Insights and you've never seen a video about this before, this is just a tool that shows you, by breaking it down into all these different parts, what people on Facebook are interested in. All right, because you're able to advertise and show them newsfeed ads, as we already talked about and you've seen before. And so what this does is, these are all people that have shown interest in what I'm typing in here. Facebook gives you an overall audience size, and then it breaks it down into demographics here to give you basically everything that you could possibly want and need to learn about this audience, and then even find other interests out there. Like I could add this interest and I could start adding them all up and get a large audience size. All right. And it breaks it down into a lot of detail. But for now, just understand that what we're looking at is when we come here and we find items, we want to make sure that they have an audience on Facebook. Now, I kind of go by my gut intuition because I've spent a lot of time in Audience Insights already. But if you haven't, then you want to use Audience Insights as your guide to understand if, something's going to have an audience. Like, say, for example, you wanted to sell women's shoes. Now, not something I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it, because sizing can be difficult since you're getting shoes made in China and we're selling to Americans. The sizing is going to be different. If you can figure it out, then go for it. Usually they have sizing charts. But as a way to test that audience size, you could say go with a JustFab, because JustFab.com is a huge shoe store. I've seen the commercials for it, and you see just by that website alone, or that brand alone, there's 10 to 15 million active users, all women in between mostly the ages 18 to 44, that are interested in this brand. So now you know that you could have a very decent size audience there for which you could market these shoes to that are in this collection. All right. So that's kind of the general principle here of what we're doing. So as I scrolled through here earlier, and another thing to mention, guys, there's a lot of stuff. All right, I'm just looking at the collections here. You can type stuff in. If you already have an idea, you can type in whatever you want to up here. Like you could type in, say, sunglasses. If you just wanted to sell women's sunglasses as one of your collections. And you're going to come up with all kinds of different results. You can sort it by orders and, start scrolling by orders down. Orders I usually sort by because those are usually the most reputable companies, that, the ones that have done the most orders. So you can search a lot of different ways. Understand that Aliexpress has thousands and thousands and thousands of items on it. We're all generally pulling from the same source, okay? Whether you realize it or not, most things are made in China nowadays. All right, yes, there are things that are still manufactured in America, but by and large, a lot of stuff is manufactured in China. All right, so most of us are pulling from the same resource here. We're using Aliexpress. Even if you find it on eBay or you find it on Amazon, a lot of those people are still just arbitrage right from Aliexpress. All right, so you're going to have to look around, and just because one person is selling something doesn't mean you can't sell it. But, you know, if we're all going into the collections here and we're all looking, you know, this is a great place to get started, but don't think that this is your only spot to pull from, because a lot of people are probably going into the AliExpress collections and doing their research every day, as you should, to look for stuff that's in here, okay? So as you scroll through, you just want to come down and find some things that, you know, just looking at it, you think could be a market. All right, I'm generally going to probably stay away from, I'm going to do some jewelry, but I'm going to look for unique jewelry. I'm going to stay away from women's clothing and men's clothing, I think, as far as drop shipping. I'll do some custom merchandise, but I don't really want to drop ship it simply because I think there's a large potential for problems with exchange and sizing there. All right, you know, you got to look and do your research and make sure that you can sell the sizes in the correct size that they're going to show up in, because Chinese sizes are smaller than American sizes. All right. Which, again, is not to say that you can't do it, all right, because there's a huge niches out there for that. So we're looking through here. Owls are actually really popular. This was a niche that I looked at. I have a little notepad here that I already kind of formatted here that I'll let you see. One of them was We Love Owls. So I looked through here. I looked at some of these items I thought were kind of cool. One was this earring. One was this. And, you know, if we want to check in audience insights, well, is the owl really a popular thing? We can see that at the broadest level, the owl has 8 to 9 million people that are interested in that. And then you could break this down into so many other things like barn owl, right? And it jumps up to 9 to 10 million. And I mean, there's so many owls, right? Spotted owl. My audience insights just first. There we go. Spotted owl. Oh, that's not one. Thought that was one. Night owl, no. Origami owl, little owl. Anyway, there would be a lot more. You know, we could, because what ends up happening is you can come over here to page likes, and you can see like the highest affinity page likes that happen, and you can even go to these pages and look to see what the page is to make sure that it makes sense. Again, we're not getting too deep into this right now because we're not really at the targeting level, but this will let you know what kind of interests are out there. And this is really kind of general. I mean, these are all just different things here. So, but I know that the owl is a design that has interest in it. So I'm looking at that. You know, you could come into Google Trends and see, are people, the snowy owl, that might have been what I was thinking of. Like, what kind of interest level does this have over time? And Google will show you, you know, that there's generally not a very high interest, but there's interest there. People are searching for the snowy owl and whatever it is. Now, that does that necessarily mean that they're going to buy jewelry and clothing? Not necessarily, but if you find the right stuff, it's, you know, again, it's not a bad idea to test. And in the beginning, it's all about just coming up with some ideas and putting together like an outline for what you want to put on your store, and then go back through and refine your store and refine your outline. You know, maybe do some research and make sure that your ideas are backed by numbers and interests. Let's say like, so you can see here that owl jewelry as a search term, meaning people that search this in, you know, Google worldwide past 5 years, there's interest there. All right, again, it's not huge interest, but there's interest there. And we know that there's an audience for it on Facebook. So it's something that could be a potential category. All right, if we come here to watch count, we can type in owl, see what comes up, and we can see there's this right here, Infinity Owl Love Bracelet, that had 14,000 sales. All right, look at this. vintage owl pendant necklace that had 13,000 sales. You know, some of this stuff has a lot of sales, and this could be a good potential category to go into. All right, there's a lot of different stuff, and listen, I guarantee some of this stuff is straight off Aliexpress. All right, let's go to Aliexpress here and type in infinity owl bracelet. Look at this. So apparently the owl, I don't know, maybe it's a symbol for something. Let's go to I'm not going to do this every time, but this was a great example to show you how you can do this. But again, in purposes of keeping this video not too long, I'm going to go off of my gut intuition with a lot of this stuff, but you can see that these are ways that you can verify products and ideas. All right, so Google Trends, I'm just going to leave and go to owl. What am I trying to type in here? Owl symbolism. Magic, mystery, and ancient knowledge. All right. Also the moon. Also feminine fertility. So there's some stuff here about the owl that I had no idea about, but that you can see, this is a symbol of certain things, and it means something to people. So, people like the charm bracelets, people like owl prints and things on the thing. So I think that this is a possible good idea, and I'm actually going to add that to the end here. Actually, I know it's a good idea, and I just want to add it in there. So now, what I'm going to show you next is when I come through and I actually look at the items. All right, what qualifies? Now we have a good idea. What qualifies is something I'm going to put on my store. All right. Well, number one, we're looking for one-piece items. So if it says something like this, like per lot, that's not really what we want, because we're just selling one-piece items. Something like this is not really what we were looking for. It's got a lot of sales. It's kind of cool. But this is like, I think, something that's a copy off the Deathly Hallows. So I'm going to stay away from any trademarked items in all of this store that I'm building with you guys. Not that this is, here I go, I'll piss some people off again. Not that I necessarily think that using this symbol is using a trademark of Harry Potter. I mean, it's from the Harry Potter series, but it's not like their main logo or anything. But, I'm sure there will be people out there that would argue that to the end of the earth. So, anyway, it really doesn't matter, because I'm staying away from all of that stuff anyway, because I don't want anything to tarnish the knowledge that I'm giving you within this training. So we're going to look for something that looked like that, eBay item. Had an anchor, love, and 2 owls with the infinity. Huh. This is interesting as a watch. This is similar, but it's got this whatever kind of bird that is. I was going to say pigeon. This is kind of cool. So I see. This is like I could do some more research into that, but for now, let's look at this. See, they have multiple ones. They're not all. Oh, that's the one. Is that the one? That's the one. Look at that, we found it. All right. So now, here's what we're looking at once we find the product, a product that looks like a good product. There's a few indicators that we're looking at on the actual product page, which is where we're at right now. Number one, we want to make sure it has orders. All right. I don't necessarily care how many orders it has. The more orders it has, of course, the more popular the item is, but that doesn't always guarantee that it's going to work as an item on Facebook, because Aliexpress is its own selling site. So sometimes an item can be very popular on Aliexpress, just because it's popular on Aliexpress. It's just the way that it works. But I do want to see some orders, all right? And I do want to see some feedback because that lets me know that people have actually ordered this item and I'm not going to be the guinea pig, okay? So next thing I look at always is the shipping, because if it doesn't have e-package shipping, then it's not even in consideration for my store. E-package shipping, if you're unfamiliar with this, is basically a USPS service where people can track an item with a tracking number shipped from China. All right. Yes, it will show that its origin port was in China, but there's a way to frame all of that I will show you in the future. Don't worry about that right now. ePacket is the best option because some of this other stuff is way too expensive, like DHL and FedEx. ePacket will get it there in 2 to 3 weeks. And sometimes it's free, sometimes it costs money, but I never go with anything other than ePacket because you can see here, like, seller's free shipping, there's no tracking available. So when your customers email you and say, hey, I ordered that item 2 weeks ago, it didn't come yet, what's the tracking number? You have to have a tracking number or else you're going to have a lot of pissed off people. All right, so don't make that mistake. Only use items that have ePacket. If you want to talk to the seller, over here, usually if they're online, which again, remember China is like a 12-hour time difference, so right now it's dead early in the morning for them. But when they are online, you can click this to open up a chat box and talk with them. Or you can send them an email, but it's better to chat because they don't always get back right away this way. So another thing that I'm looking for is their store rating here. All right, if you scroll over here, this is their store. This is their store rating. Anything with a diamond is generally good. The more diamonds, the better. I can actually pull up. Give me a second here. I'll pull up the seller ratings. So this is what the seller ratings look like. A brand new store that's never sold anything or gotten any feedback is going to start at the 1 badge and then move up from there. All right. They get feedback based on people leaving reviews. So every time somebody leaves them a positive review, then they get a point, and as the points add up over here, they add up in their ranking. All right. So you generally want to stay away from stuff that's going to be in this lower badge range simply because there's too much risk involved. It doesn't mean that the seller is not a good seller, but again, we don't want to be the guinea pig. All right. Now, I have sold items from sellers that were in the lower badge range, but I also talked to those sellers and had lengthy conversations prior and made sure that everything was going to be good. And it was because they had a very unique item that I wanted to sell. A lot of times there's going to be multiple sellers that offer multiple items. And just getting started in the beginning, my recommendation would be don't take the risk. Go with sellers that are 5 badges and above. Generally, right in here is the sweet spot, this 2 crown down to 5 badge, because these people have all been consistent in building up good feedback. You can look at the product page, of course, and see the product reviews as well. We're looking at more than one categorization, but 5 badges is enough for me, sometimes even 4 badges if it has a really good rating and it's got good feedback. And then, of course, anything in the diamonds means they've been doing well. And if they get a crown, then, again, they're doing even better. When you start getting up into the high crowns, you get into vendors that are big and are doing very well and may not be very responsive to you as somebody trying to work with them for your drop shipping business, all right? So that's the only downside to these higher vendors. Not that they're not going to be reliable. Of course they will. Their feedback score shows that they are very consistent and reliable, but that they may not be willing to work with you, whereas people at this lower level are hungry for business, and if you can bring them more business, they're going to be more willing to work with you. All right, so enough on the feedback score. That just lets you know what you're looking for when you're over here and you're looking at their rating. Okay, stores, I don't go with any stores that opened like 2 months ago. And I want them to have good scores here, definitely above a 4.5. Good score here, definitely above a 4.5. Closer to a 4.7, the better. I like to come down to the feedback as well. It's always nice to see pictures in here and see, what it actually looks like when it gets delivered. So that's always a good thing. You can click here to see views from the United States to see what people are saying. Generally because, from the United States is the target market we're selling to, so it's always nice to see if there's views from the U.S. from people that bought. And again, I'm just looking for the basic stuff that lets me know this is legit. They're really sending the product out. People are happy with it. Of course, you're always going to have one or two bad reviews. That happens with almost anything. So, and you can also select here just with pictures. But again, that's the stuff that I'm looking for. This fits all the criteria of what I would look for in an item. All right. And actually, I'm going to add this instead of just having it typed in there. I'm going to add this to my list of items of what I have in mind for the We Love Owls category. All right. So the idea is here that I have an item that I think is cool. I've seen that it sells. I've seen that it's sold a lot. I've seen that the category of owls in general is something that can sell. That it has some meaning and symbolism. There's an audience on Facebook for it, so I know I can reach people on Facebook targeting these interests, and I can build a collection around it. All right. I found a few items in the category. So let's go like to this one and see what this was, to show you another example. And I found this in the collection, the Wise Owls collection, when I was in here. So here's one that was a necklace, all right? This one's cool because it's got different variations, which is always a great thing because it has the potential for multiple purchases. Shipping and payment. I see that it has e-package shipping available. Feedback. People posting pictures, product as described. So that's cool. Good feedback score here. Good feedback score up here. Another cool thing you can do, by the way, is you can actually use these images in your product description if you want to. Like you could actually just download this image and use it in your product description. So that's a tip as well that you can do, because that just adds some credibility to what you're doing, you know, because there's nothing wrong with that. This product was actually sold and you are actually using that vendor and selling the same product. So you know, use this image and put it on, you know, your store as well. All right, so moving on. I think that was a really good rundown. Hopefully you guys understand the process. That is the process right there. It's just now a matter of repeating that over and over and over again. You know, building a store takes some time. I generally want to start a store with a couple collections, a couple different categories, and that way you can test different things. You're going to see some people out there that say that's like a shotgun approach, but in my opinion, it's not shotgun if we're doing our research ahead of time and looking for and validating the items that we want to sell. All right, I don't think that sticking to one specific niche really does you any good unless you are an expert in that niche already. All right, now like I said, you can do a niche general store like women's fashion or men's fashion, and that narrows down your you know, your product selection a little bit. But there's nothing wrong with this approach because we're going to be testing, we're going to be finding different ideas, and any idea can take off, and you know, you'll see how it works as we do this store together. So if we keep scrolling through here, going through some of these different things, I looked at a lot of these categories. There's a lot of categories in here. I'm going to find another one that was interesting to me, and we'll go through it. And just because I skip any of these categories doesn't mean they're not good categories. It's just that, you know, for what I was looking for. Music is a great category, something I'm very interested in. I love music. People love music. We don't even need to look that up on Facebook to know that there's a massive audience out there for music. All right, so it's all going to be a matter, though, of what products you find and do they speak to people in music, you know, because you could sell stuff like in the EDM niche like I was doing, or you could sell stuff to musicians. Like this might be something that would be good for piano players or any musician really, because this is a universal symbol of a note and playing music. Something like this, a charm bracelet, could be cool, you know. But I think I looked at this and I didn't like. I remember looking at this and there was something I didn't like. So let's show you this as an example of why I might see a product that looks like a cool product, but I don't go with it. Number one, that image is horrible, and you do want to pay attention to the image because you're going to use the same image. They have e-packet. Came broken. Some faults. Leaves. So see, I didn't like these reviews. I think it just didn't look like it was really quality. And from this picture, I already think it's not quality because they can't even take a clear picture. I'm not going to be able to advertise it with that picture because it's just really not acceptable. So moving on. However, what you can do sometimes when you find a product that looks cool is come down to the more products at the bottom and see if there's anything else in here that relates. Like this, for example. Now this doesn't have any sales on it, so it's also the same store. So, I don't really know about this. So, this looks like a dead end for the most part. Maybe this is an idea. Excuse me. This is kind of a cool idea, but again, it's tough because it's not a good picture, and we need good picture. Oh, see, they got better pictures down here. Well, it's still a little pixelated. That's a good picture. But it lets me know that these types of products are out there, and I can keep searching. It's got free e-packet shipping, feedback. It looks like people like it, and it comes looking like quality. Delighted, quickly, very nice. So, that's an unfortunate picture there, but there may be a workaround for that. And again, we could continue on our search through this and seeing these other musical things that come up, right? And this is a great place to get ideas in the related products. All right, so I could come down here. I'm going to close these. Start opening some of these ideas up that I think are kind of cool. I mean, all of these, honestly. I'm going to look at them more closely to see what's going on, but I think all of them from first glance could be something that have appeal to people who are musicians. Also cool. I'm opening up a lot of pages here. It's going to slow my computer up, but this is kind of how it goes sometimes. Alright, so now we'll close this, and we'll look at some of these other ideas. So this is a cool little set here. You can get either this or this. Both kind of cool. Free e-packet shipping. And the nice thing about jewelry, why jewelry is so attractive as something to sell, is because you get it for cheap on Aliexpress, low wholesale cost, made in China, high perceived value. All right, you could probably sell this for $19.99 plus shipping, right? And so your profit margin would be wonderful on this. All right. Looking at the feedback, all looks really good. People seem to enjoy it. Earrings look amazing, not cheap. I like this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put this idea and add it in. All right. And then we'll close that because now we got the idea. This is cool. People seem to like this. Again, it's got, now see, this is something to look for though. This is tough because it's got a watermark on it. All right. I could always email this vendor or open a chat with them and say, hey, I'm an online seller. I think I can sell a lot of this product. Can you provide the picture for me? But at the same time, I like to move quick. Sometimes they don't always get back to you right away. Oh, here we go. But if I click on the image on this side, there's no watermark. Nice. So I can use this. All right. But that is something that you want to be aware of. Again, I think this is a good item. I'm going to put it in the idea section. Because we are going to be taking pictures straight from here. All I do is screenshot the pictures and put them right onto my site. Right. What do we got here? Cool little music charm bracelet. But no e-package shipping. I don't go with Aliexpress standard shipping, even though it says that it has tracking available. So that one's not going to make the cut. This looks nice. Free e-packet. They got both are watermarked though. So now there is a way to get around the watermark like that, because it's actually a pretty easy watermark to get around since it's only on the chain. So I could use this, and I will show you guys that tip in another video. Maybe I'll save this item specifically to use as that example. Let me just check that feedback. Beautiful, beautiful. Received mine today. Very happy. Okay. Now another thing that I'll do sometimes as well, I'm going to write watermark example so I remember that, because there is a trick to get rid of that if you have Photoshop. Sometimes if I think a store has a cool item, I will click on the actual store name and just come over here and see what their top selling items are. See if they have any other ideas that might branch me off into a new category of cool stuff I could sell. They got some interesting stuff here, kind of unique. I don't know that anything really speaks to me right away, but you know, again, that's just a cool way that you can branch into new ideas. Same thing, they have a watermark, there's a way around that. E-packet $2. So they've made a decent amount of sales across the board with their stuff, but I'm just moving along here right now at this point. 947 orders. All right, so this has got some popularity. It comes in several different styles, which is awesome. Let's see what we got here. They don't offer e-package shipping. Unfortunate. However, maybe there's other items like it. No, doesn't look like it. These are just regular watches. Is this the same one or a different one? Okay. Well, I guess that's it for that. Alright, so that's how... Oh, one more. This has a decent amount of orders. That's pretty cool looking. E-packet 171, not bad, because again, you can probably sell this for $19.99 easily. Some cool stuff here. So that's how you go about finding different ideas, alright? And they got a One Crown store, so you know that they're a reliable seller. That means they've got lots of feedback to get to that point. So we'll add that one in here and be done with the music idea for now. Alright. Let's look at one more example. That was really it for what I found here. I think I also looked at this item and said that I like this as well. Now, I may have to reorganize my category a little bit because I was trying to come up with these, cool names for my category. Um, Music makes the world go round, but this is really jewelry right here. So I got to decide if I'm gonna include this. I'll just have to figure that out. I might have to make subcategories for the music category. All right, so let's look at one more. I'm gonna click on this because I liked this idea, not the beach category, but these. Now, they're just selling them as beach towels, is what they're calling them, but I think that they can have a lot of applications outside beach towels, and I also know that from Winello, that these types of items get a lot of attention. All right, these bohemian blue, whatever. Like now, this is not. This is a little bit different, but just in general, I can see that the pattern is something that people like. All right, I've seen these out there before, so I think that this could be something that has some appeal to people out there. All right, they all get a lot of saves, these print pattern type deals. So I had seen that research before already. So when, just from researching and looking through ideas on Winello at their trending feed. So when I came across this, I said that's a pretty cool idea. I don't think it necessarily has to just be for the beach. There's three of them. I don't necessarily like the size being extra small. Is that what that means? But see, it can be a carpet, it can go over beds or chairs. I mean, this can be used for a lot of different things. I think the pattern is really cool. Um, Here's the size, 150 centimeters. So it's 59 inches across. That's not a bad size. That's 5 feet. All right, cool. I like that. And I think that's a good idea. And I can even use these pictures in my product description to show the different ways that it can be used. So, again, a cool product that I also think I could build a collection around. Now, I originally started out with this idea of life is better with blankets, but I may just go and change that into a whole bohemian collection style. I don't know. Again, I'm just at the research phase right now, coming out with some ideas. All right. But that's why you want to look at things like, well, now, like, look right here, I'm looking at this. This is a good idea for a t-shirt. Now we're going to get into this in another video, but I'm going to save this example for later. I don't even know how this thing works. I have 99 notifications here. I know I didn't save 99 items. What is all this stuff? Huh, that's funny. So all right, I'm getting off track here. I mean, obviously, lots of cool stuff that you can find on Winello. I'm trying to figure out where I find my stuff that I saved though. Is it the maybe later section? Like, what is going on here? Oh, yeah, I just go to my profile. Okay, cool. As you can see, I've never actually saved something. So anyway, so that's cool. All right. And again, now this item didn't have a lot of feedback, as you saw, and the store itself is not even a diamond yet. However, they've got good positive feedback. They've been open for 2 years. This has only had a few orders, and we can look at why certain people gave it 1 star. Product doesn't have good terminations, and the color print doesn't match. I don't like it. Okay, maybe. I guess I don't. They're not even. I don't even know what this means here. Normal piece of cloth, print one way, suitable to the beach. Fast shipping, good product. A lot of people seem to like it. Again, just necessarily having once, never received, no cotton. Alright, like that's just stupid. It's no cotton by looking at the item. If you read the product details, never received item or a refund. That's not necessarily a good thing, but I could, I could contact this vendor and make sure that they're legit before selling this. So the vendor is definitely newer, but they've got good overall ratings. So they have no 1 star reviews on this product. So yeah, I mean, generally, I think that I'm gonna give this a shot. Probably, I do like that item, and I'm gonna see if I can sell it. That's gonna be one of the things I probably start with. So we'll come back to that. You'll see that again in the future. And then as you can see, I kept going through the collections. You can see here, and I just started coming up with some ideas. Phone cases, like with this, I found a cool. Again, subjective. I think it's cool, but phone cases I already know from just common sense and knowledge that phone cases can sell very well. And based off of the order count here in Aliexpress and the 5-star rating, people like this item, all right, or these items. There's multiple variations. So these are some cool things that I could add to my store. All right, and then that's just one. I can come down here and get deep into the phone case. I could look at phone cases probably for an hour just by themselves. There's so many of them on AliExpress. And then also with jewelry, I'm going to look at some unique types of jewelry I can sell. Jewelry, again, you want to be unique. You want to have an angle when it comes to jewelry. So with this stuff, I feel like this stuff is pretty unique here. Just selling from this store in general, and they got a lot of orders all the way through their like top 12 products. So I could literally take just every one of these products and put it on my store, and then just work on my angle of how I'm going to market and sell them. And could probably, I do plan on doing that. So I could build an entire jewelry collection just from this vendor, and then hopefully build a relationship with this vendor, and then hopefully sell a lot of products together. All right. So that's, what I had in mind for the jewelry niche, just to start, of course. And then, it really breaks down from there. Do I want to make this a specific type of jewelry and label it something, like maybe even use their name, because that's their brand and they're not going to care, so I could call this the Kiss Me Jewelry. All right, and that's actually a pretty cool collection name. All right, so you can do that kind of stuff, and then I could have different types of jewelry as well. So that way, I'm not categorizing it all just under one category of jewelry. Because if I want to sell a men's watch, it wouldn't really fit into this category if I just had it called jewelry. Excuse me. So that's where I'm going to end with this video. Again, this is just the stage of mapping some things out. You can see the other ideas I have in here. Again, I'm showing you my ideas, guys. I mean, you're seeing the stuff that I did research on. Now, you didn't watch me go through all the research on this, but that's because it would literally take a long time. It would be like a 2.5-hour video for me to show you the process of going through and talking through where I found every one of these items. Like the We're Getting Married, I was just looking at some cool items for weddings, because weddings are all year round evergreen niche, so it's a great thing to get into if you can. And I think it fits the concept of the site, the bold and social idea. So just when you're going into it, use the tips and resources that I gave you in the beginning. You go through. This is just a great way to get started, all right? Yes, you could specifically go to watch count and just type in keywords and come up with ideas that way, and then go to Aliexpress and try to find the items. You can do that, all right? You could go to Amazon and look at the best-selling products, and try to come up with ideas that way by going to Amazon and just coming up here to best-selling in all categories, right? And then see if you can find this type of stuff in other areas. But you got to remember, like I said in the beginning, Amazon and eBay are search type of sites. So something like this, a waist trainer, people are probably searching for this item. This is probably not going to do well on Facebook, all right? Something like this, same thing. You would have to have a really clever advertisement to market this on Facebook. So you want to keep that in mind when you're looking at ideas. In closing, talking about seasonal ideas as well, you can see right here on the Happy Halloween, just keep in mind the 2 to 3 week shipping time. If you're going to be marketing this type of stuff, you probably would have wanted to start marketing it at the beginning of September, because if you start selling it now and people don't get it in time, say somebody buys it next Saturday and they don't get it by Halloween at the end of the month, which they probably would, I guess, but even if they just get it like the day before, they may not be happy with that. So you got to watch, if you're selling seasonal items, that you're doing it far enough out in advance for people to actually get it in time to fit what their purpose is. All right. And then other than that, it's just going to be about going through. You can look at the super deals, you can look at the best selling, you can look at the trending styles, and just start narrowing out a map of categories you think are going to be good categories based on the ideas that we talked about. Making sure there's an audience for them on Facebook, making sure that there are some numbers and trends in the background to validate those being actual products that people like. All right, I think I showed you how you can research every single one, how I did with that owl product. You can do that with every single product and idea, and then once you find one good product, you can probably branch out into more. All right, it's just going to take time and doing the research. So let me know if you have any questions. I look forward to speaking to you in the next video, where we'll start going into actually adding some of these into the store. All right, talk to you later.